Hello everyone and welcome back to our doll party. We are here with Michael Canadas.
Hi Rachel.
Hello, thank you for having us here. We're on day 2 of our doll celebration. What we're about to show you is something that we have had requests, emails, comments about. Everyone has wanted to know, how do I create these fabulous vignettes that are in the Grovian Doll Museum? Well, Michael is going to show us some of his very famous tips and tricks for how to create these magnificent displays that they use for their dolls at the museum and at shows.
Well,
We're so excited.
here's our vignette.
And we're done.
Albert Einstein said that creativity is more important than knowledge. I think sometimes we have to free ourselves and let ourselves be creative and express ourselves. Now, in doing a vignette, also quote Napoleon III, you cannot create anything that lasts on a crumbling foundation. So the first thing you need with your vignette is a foundation. So this is kind of a faux foundation that we're doing right now, but this is something that could work if you were setting up an exhibit, a temporary exhibit, but obviously most of the things that we do are in cases. So you're going to have to use some of your imagination. So the first thing you're going to start with are your underpinnings and your structure. As you can see, that doll stands have multiple uses. So we've used a large doll stand, and that's going to hold up our background. And this, actually, I use this pretty regularly. We use it at shows, and we also use it when we do tableaus here and on our website for our business. So you're going to start with your backgrounds.
So if you guys have questions as we're doing this live, do not hesitate
absolutely.
to ask them.
Now
is the time.
There are no stupid questions, only stupid answers. So what I suggest to people to use, even in your cases, is foam core. You can get this cut really exact, so it could just fit in the back of your wall, create 2 sides. You can do a lot with foam core. You can also have foam core printed. A lot of printing companies print we'll do this, like Kinko's and others. So this was something that I thought I would use, and I decided I don't like it. So I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to reuse
You're going to reuse it.
This will be used for a display, or perhaps I'll put some fabric on it and put a wardrobe of clothes on it. But when we do our backgrounds for the museum, all of our things are glued down. I might like to use fabric. A lot of people use fabric for backgrounds. I still glue it down, because what happens is you'll have wrinkles or puckers, and then if you go and do photography, you gave yourself away that it wasn't really wallpaper. So either fabric adhering to this or wallpaper, and we use spray glue. If you take your can of glue or your bottle of glue out, and it's never going to give you the right, just that layer of glue that you need. And if you use spray glue, which you could get at a hardware store or your local hardware store, you have a period of time where you have a little bit of movement.
So when you do that, basically, you're not planning on using the fabric ever again. It's staying for that
you're going to
vignette.
decide that if you're going to do that. And of course, you don't want to use some 18th century fabric to glue it down. But if you're using something that you don't mind that, then you can do that. And then sometimes you can soak it off if you wanted to. But mostly you're going to, just like you're not going to be able to peel the wallpaper off once you put it on. And I prefer to use antique wallpaper. And you can find that on Ruby Lane, other venues you can find it. Because there's something about the colors of it. One thing about it is, it feels right, but it is fragile. That's why you do want to use your spray glue. So we start with that. So we're going to use something that's rickety, but it's been around. It's not on foam core. It's just on some cardboard. But it has the paper that I want to use already on it. So we're going to start with this. And so we're going to go into the center, like so. Okay? So Rachel's going to hold that.
So if you guys are just tuning in, we're learning how to create a vignette for your French dolls. It doesn't have to be French.
It could be any kind of doll.
Any kind of dolls.
You could create any kind of tableau with any, it could be a toy store, it could be a candy cardstock, it could be anything. So I'm just doing this because I don't want to have a malfunction while this is being broadcast. So normally, honestly, I wouldn't do this because I'm going to have a couple more steps that'll make this sturdy. So that's good enough for now. And I have to tell you that because you're all watching, I have my little tools of the trade out. Normally when I do this, I work in complete chaos.
That's good to know because a lot of us do.
Yeah.
And
So
we're real here, right?
Yes, and so this is the next piece that I have that we've used many times. It should be familiar to a lot of the people that watch what we do. This is a masonite board that has been marbleized. You can take lessons on the internet on how to marbleize. It's not that hard to do. What's hard to do is actually the measurements. So to mark this all off. And this has been a very good thing. Although today I'm not going to use this. This is just actually giving us strength for the display. And Rachel's asked me regularly about mixing prints. And because here we have two different things. Actually have two different materials. So this would be a marble floor, and that's wallpaper. But you can mix prints. The rule about prints is they can't be the same size. So you can mix a smaller with a larger. That's very, very French. And you can mix more than one print. Now that takes having a lot of confidence because you can end up looking funny or you can end up looking sensational. It just depends on, So
give it a shot.
Yeah. So here we have we've got our imaginary room. Now there should be a glass wall here and a glass wall here so that you can look in at three sides. But we still have this ugliness that we've got to cover up. So the wonderful thing about today are the resources that we have with places like Ruby Lane that you can go and easily find things. So I always buy single antique curtains, lace curtains.
Lace curtains, everybody.
Lace curtains. So I use them in many different things to soften this. So we're going to do this just like this is a window here out. So we're going to just soften this little edge, cover up our little uglies, and I think it's called zhuzhing. So we're going to do a little zhuzhing. This is a bedspread. And I wouldn't put this on a bed, but I've certainly enjoyed using it for many, many displays. We use this at shows, when we're at shows. I'll use it, so I'm going to use this one here, just to give this little. Now, if I were going to be putting in a full display that was going to be semi-permanent, because really nothing at the Grovian is permanent. We're constantly changing what we do because we're not big. The ground floor here is 2,600 square feet. So we have to constantly change because we have about a 70% return on events. So we've got to show them new things. So, but if I were going to do this where I thought this is going to stay up for 5 or 6 years, I'd actually make curtains for the room, miniature curtains. But so we're just going to.
Those work beautifully now.
We're going to just jerry rig this. So here we have this nice floor. I'm not going to use the floor because I've got something wonderful.
So if you guys are tuning in, we are learning some tips, tricks, and ideas for how to create a magnificent, fun vignette with your dolls.
Now look at this stunning Aubusson
That is just gorgeous.
fragment.
Look at that.
And this came off of Ruby Lane because they're a fabulous source of finding wonderful findings. This was, someone had cut this up probably because it was damaged. And
Look at that, so beautiful.
it is exquisite. And this was so expensive in its time. And it was, of course they're still expensive now. But, so I'm going to line up the pattern because that's how I am. And it would drive me crazy if it wasn't lined up as best to our ability. So we've got now our wall-to-wall carpeting. in the 18th and 19th century, they had wall-to-wall carpeting. A lot of people don't really know that.
It was a sign of wealth.
And they also had tiles made out of linoleum. Up the street, David and I bought a building, and we have parts of the original 19th century linoleum tiles in that. So here we've got our little basis of where we're going to start.
One thing I'm seeing here is we are pattern mixing, but there are colors that are blending. There are colors here that blend with colors here. So it's just try it together and see.
Yeah, I have no fear of the pattern mixing. And also to have confidence. Lucy Morgan, who we have a doll that belonged to Lucy Morgan, told me one time, I learned a lot from her. She said to me, my collection has to only make one set of eyes happy, and that's mine.
Love it.
And that is a really wonderful way to look at it. In other words, it's great that you like what I do. It's great that you love my collection. But really, at the end of the day, it should be only one person's pleasure.
That's a very important thing to remember.
Yeah. But this whole display that we're putting together was inspired by this painting. And this is actually a miniature painting of Madame du Barry, and it's on canvas. You know, it's not a ivory piece or on wood. It's a little painting. Now, if you looked at this, you'd say, oh, she's got a blue bow and a russeted dress top, gold skirt, lace, the blue ribbon, green in the box. Guess what? We've got all those colors right here. So this was the catalyst to make this room come alive. So I'm going to put a major piece of furniture in, because just like in real homes, you know, you can get away with a lot. Like David and I have some, not to be braggadocious, but we've got some really, really fine things, and we've got some tchotchke type of things. But if you have the key piece, that's the most important. So here we're going to put in a perfect miniature Louis XV style chest.
Look at that. And that centers our room. That's your first building block.
That is your center. That is the key piece. And the key piece... That's
just a phenomenal piece of
really,
furniture.
And honestly, there is a pin in the paper, and I didn't put that in but it works, the perfect placement for a painting. Everybody has a different viewpoint on where to put a painting, but this is the focal point. Look at how it picks up the colors. You've got all the colors in the wallpaper, these, you know, beiges and a little bit of green and gold and
it just
coral.
Works so beautifully.
It all wraps up together.
So as you can see, we are slowly bringing this painting to life.
And also too, some people might think, oh, he picked a pattern that was way too big for this room. Well, guess what? In the 19th century, they had humongous patterns. So this is not out of line at all. And one thing that drives me crazy when we go to historic houses, because we are culture vultures, every time we go, and the docents will always make some crack about the wallpaper. You know, like, oh, I wouldn't want to live in this house with the wallpaper. And it's like, I want to take them aside and give them an orientation.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely love wallpaper, and it just, look how beautifully it just sets up this room.
You know, we've talked about in some of our other talks about chinoiserie, and I think every room can really be improved with a little bit of touch of chinoiserie. So we're going to put this screen in, and here's the thing about your imagination and using sometimes what you have. We already owned this screen full size. Samantha, our web mistress, photographed it, sized it, and then we had it printed on foam core, which we've talked about. And actually, because it was full size, going down to miniaturize, it had a beautiful saturation of colors. It wouldn't work if you went the other way, where you're trying to make something smaller into something bigger. And look at the parrots and the monkeys. It's just a delight.
This is such a delight, and it is made out of the foam board, and you bought little brackets and you just made it.
Well, we just went up to the hardware store, got little hinges, and then used Dresden paper on the edge. And, I mean, would I love it to be antique? Yes, I would. Would I love it to be, but you know what? It serves my purposes. Our screen is the only one, and this is the only miniature one.
And would we love you to sell screen kits?
Well, the thing about it is, this is actually, it's not cost effective, because by the time you have it printed and you do all that, it would be more than I think people would want to pay for it. But if you're doing it for yourself, like if I'm doing it for myself, I'm not concerned with how much it costs. But that's the problem, to do it really right, to have the Dresden paper, the hinges, I mean, this is antique paper on the back. So, it's costly. So I think it's something you do more for yourself. Or you do it and you don't, like someone called up that said, I want one of those and I don't care what it costs. That's different. But it's the cost, which is a lot more than you think, and then somebody's got to, put it all together.
But boy, is it worth it. Room dividers are personally one of my favorite accessories.
Yes, I agree. And you can't have too many screens. So we've got our screen, and then the next thing we're going to do is, it's important for my imagination to, where is this room? Who lives there? What's their life like? It doesn't matter if it's Max and Moritz or a French fashion doll. I want to know, does Frida Fritzenbaum live here, or does the Empress of France live here? So this is a private room for the Empress of France. And it's a room that she would have her guests over, that it'd be elegant but not ostentatious, but it would be a place that she might want to do a little showing off. And what she's going to show off is the Imperial Prints. So she's going to show off the Imperial Prints. So this is the Imperial Princess baby bed.
Look at this carriage, everybody. Baby bed.
It's a bed.
Rather, yes.
It's a bed.
Oh my goodness.
And this actually should have been Rachel
in
Victorian Whimsies, because this is a candy box. See, it opens up.
Look at this, everybody. Oh, the colors, and it's a candy box, and it's just phenomenal.
And this was made to commemorate the birth of the Imperial Prints, because that was a very big deal for the reign of Napoleon III to have an heir, and he was an incredible young man. Died far too young. Where a lot of people are cowards, he was incredibly brave. And we do have an article that if you'll let them have a download, it's called "The Shadow of Her Smile," and that goes into a little bit about him. But he's a baby now, or a young toddler. So this is his bed. So we've got that. That's the anchor. Then I'm going to start adding in little bits of furniture.
We're going to start adding. Share the video so other people can learn how to do this. Look at this.
I barely seen a chair I didn't like. And I might not have liked it, but I definitely respected it. So here we're going to put this chair in this corner here. And look again how we're picking up all these colors. Look at here, all these colors. Even though we've got, people with pattern phobia, we've put a totally different pattern in, but it works. Do you know what? If you put things that were safe in a Napoleon III room, if I looked at it and it was safe, I would think there's something wrong with this. One of the most beautiful places that I've seen recently, a public place, was in Ladare, the Ladare store in Paris on Rue Bonaparte. They have a chinoiserie tea room. It's lovely. Upstairs, they have another tea room that has, if I jumped, I would hit my head on the ceiling. and they're so Parisian and so chic, Napoleon III. Instead of trying to make the room bigger, they've done the opposite. They've used navy blue and gold, and they've made it, they've turned it cozy. So, you know, it's totally Napoleon III with tufted furniture.
Yes.
So sometimes, you know, you kind of have to, if you're going to recreate a room, you have to think in the way they think, which they're thinking about texture, color. They're not afraid of it the way we are. So we've got this chair, and so I'm going to add, I think, next
Michael is showing us how to create a wonderful vignette for our French fashion dolls.
I'm going to put another splash of chinoiserie, and this is again with layers and colors. But look even how the tabletop picks up the colors in the carpet, and then you have the reflection of, we've got these fantasy pagodas and, you know, China with palm trees and, you know, just a little fantasy world. So we've got that here. So that's kind of, you know, it's starting to have building. So the next thing I think I'm going to put in is, I'll put this little etagere. And you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to put this right here.
And that has little accessories.
Little
things for the room.
And you know what? Some of those are, none of those accessories on this are particularly pricey. You could get those on Ruby Lane easily, but they add a little charm.
A little something.
Yep. And I think since we're, do I have any more for? I have this incredible, to add to it, little gilded Tabare.
That is beautiful.
And that is just, look at the turnings. They're just stunning. I mean, to me, this is just
and with the blue fabric,
treasure.
It is such a
treasure. And look at how it just picks up the color of the
bassinet. Look at that, everybody.
Yeah, it just picks that up. So I think we've got our kind of bulk
base
in here. So the next thing I'm going to do, this is a little crowded. So I think I'm going to go a little bit, because we've got imagination, so we can take over space. So we're going to move that out. You know what? Don't feel like there's some people I have to get it right the first time. No, you keep doing it and moving it until you get it where you want it. And you know what? It's fun, but it's not easy. And as a great opera singer once said to me, if it was easy, anyone could do it.
Exactly.
So you just
keep practicing, keep trying, keep massaging.
Till you get it the way you want. So, but I think that we've got our furniture for this particular space. So the next thing I think I would want to do, because they take up room, is to start to integrate the dolls that are going to be in the tableau. So the first one I think I'm going to pick.
The dolls are coming.
This girl that...
Now she's just amazing.
Isn't she amazing? And she was in another one of our videos, I think. She was. Beyond the Pale. And she's kind of hard to place, because the most of our children of different ethnic backgrounds, they're children. And we only have a couple of ladies that fit into, that they're not French ladies. So she fits here as just beautifully marvelous. As, this is the Empress's honored guest. This is her guest from another country, and she was invited to the salon, and she was asked to wear her native clothes, even though she's from the land of chinoiserie. They're not correct in any way, but they've got that, you know, that Chinese feel. So she's here as the honored guest. So we'll put her there for now. We might move her. You know, it happens. So the next person I'll bring in is the Empress herself. So do you see where we're going here? That look at her clothes that she's wearing. It just makes...
She's just incredible.
It fits in perfectly. This was not, these were her clothes. This wasn't done to fit this room. But the blue and the tan and the red, it all the red little feather just helps it all work.
And her face is just
And she's got an
stunning.
incredible face. It's Eugene Barrois' their version of the Empress Eugenie. So it's really a very special doll. It has a Geslon body, which is this stockinette body with bisque legs and the bisque hands.
Look at that.
But it's a gorgeous face. It's one of my, I mean, I hate to say one of my favorites, but kind of is.
Look at that.
And I've known her.
Wonderful to see.
I've known her since I was 21 years old. So I didn't get her until much later. But
You waited.
I channeled
put out
it.
the feelers.
Yes, I did. I channeled it, and so we've got the Empress, and it looks like she's got a little bit too much space. So again, as I said, we're gonna have to finagle this. So okay, she's in. So the next doll I'm gonna bring in is the Nanny for the Imperial Prints.
The Nanny's coming. So we are learning and watching a vignette for these fabulous French dolls come to life right now.
So here,
Look at this beautiful Nanny.
if you think about it, this is a wonderful Louis Doliac fashion doll. And this belonged to, I mentioned earlier, Lucy Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
And this belonged to Lucy Morgan. This was the first doll she ever bought from us. And she was an invaluable client of ours and a wonderful individual. And so when this came on the market again, we bought it as a remembrance of her. And so, what's nice about it is she's occupational. So this doll might be hard to put into someone's doll collection, but when you put her in the right situation,
Right.
I have a saying, situation awareness. A lot of people have no situation awareness. This is total situation awareness. We've got the Nanny, and we've even got more space here because we've created this flurry of lace for our curtains. So we've got, this is a photograph right here.
That is a photograph
So
right
we're,
there, yes.
we're getting ready to put the baby to bed. And, if I were going to set this up, probably, and you weren't here, I'd probably have my ironing board and I would have all this pressed. And I might put a little tissue in to shape the dress out, but we don't want to keep your public waiting. So I'm going to move this chair, and again, you just keep.
You're just
moving,
you're using your
moving it
imagination. It's
until
just kind of
it works.
just like in a real house, everybody.
Exactly.
You just start moving it till it looks like it's found its comfy.
And the thing is, one little thing can change everything. Our newest little bulldog, Bixby, just turned 1. And for the last, not quite a year, but for the last year, all of our carpets in our house have been rolled up in a pile, because you know what puppies do. So his 1-year gift to us was that we got to put our carpets down. And it was really strange, because it's like, oh my God, it's like a whole new house. That one thing, like a carpet, you don't realize how much that adds to making something homey. So I think we need a child playing, and this is a Victor Clement, the blown kid body. It's as light as a feather, and she's going to be our little child. And I imagine that this is one of the nieces of Empress Eugenie from her daughter, the Duchess of Alba, and she's come to see the baby. And yet, she's very close to her
She's
aunt.
just hanging out right there
Yes.
on the floor. How sweet. If you guys find this inspiring, please share the video so more people can learn. This is so wonderful.
And she's, she's from Spain, and her mother's a duchess. But she's in Paris visiting her aunt, who's here. So she has her own doll of her aunt. So we'll put that there because that gives it playfulness. And because she's from Spain, she needs to have her tourist book. So she's got her book of everything in Paris. So she can actually look at the place that she's staying, and she could take that back and have her whole album. So this adds a little bit of whimsy. And you know what, even if you're royalty. When you go places, you're still a tourist. So she's got that going on.
Look at
So I think we've got the structure of the exhibit is here. So now we're going to accessorize, which is one of my favorite things to do. So I think we're going to start that. So I think I'm going to work on the chest. I'm going to work my way back to forward, because when you're working with miniatures, that's the way you should do that. Now, these wonderful Canton vases, look at those.
Talk about a splash of color. Wonderful.
Yes, and I love the shape, and that they're a pair, and they're a perfect scale. And these, we got these off of Ruby Lane, so you know you can find these things. You know what? I shouldn't tell you this, doll people, but don't just stay in the doll lane. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes things like this are not in the doll lane.
Exactly.
These are in the antique lane.
In the antique lane.
Yeah. Now, I know Rachel's not going to get credit for that, but these are in the antique lane. So you have to go in.
That is a very good tip for our
Yes.
shoppers.
So because I'm a doll person, but David and I have our main business for many, many years was the decorative arts. So I can't help myself. I have to look. And if there's something that works for dolls and miniatures, I have to push the button. I can't. But these are beautiful Canton pieces. But I want to see, okay, I'm adding more pattern. So if some of you might need to take a tranquilizer, because this is more pattern. But look at
But
look at
it's so,
the
works.
colors.
It works.
Look
yes.
at all of that.
As long as you have something tying it all together.
Exactly. And this is a totally different scale. Okay, so I'm going to put these back here. Now, I know I like to use antique flowers. You don't have to use antique flowers. You can use artificial flowers, but don't necessarily be looking for the flower. Look at what's on the flower, the littler things, and you take your wire cutters and you cut off what you want. And so here the thing about these vases are so special is we can go any way. Do we want more coral or do we want more pink? I'm going to go for the coral side showing.
Look at that.
Yeah, I think I am going to do that.
Those are fabulous.
So we got that there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a clock. So
If you guys are just tuning in, we have been building this wonderful French fashion vignette from the ground up here at the Grovian.
So we're going to use with this wonderful Armalou clock miniature that has its own stand, which is so rare to find, even for a full size. So we've got our gorgeous clock there. And you know, I like everything symmetrical, and I'll keep working until I get it just where I think it's the way I like it. And if I didn't get it symmetrical, trust me, David will be in the room to go after it. So then we have the matching candelabra. So we're going to put those here, and David makes all of our candles by hand.
Where does he find the time?
You know, it's a miracle, isn't it? But here's the thing. He makes them for you know, our things for resale and whatnot. But, do you think he could, I need to have bigger candles and taller. But I'm the last priority.
Maybe when he,
Yeah.
maybe when he has some spare time, he'll whip some up for you.
So we still have room for something for here. This could be, and I don't think I have anything, but that could be a place for a gorgeous presentation box where you're going to be putting a gift for the Imperial Prints there. So we still have room. Or we could also do this. We could go a little more this and let the other things breathe. It just depends on however you want to do that. Now, if you notice these things here, this was a spot for a candlestick. So those little bump outs. So if you had the right piece, you could put something there. So, and some of you that follow our tableaus that we do, when we photograph things like this, we'll light the candles for a few minutes and burn the wicks
beautiful.
down. So we've got that. I think that's pretty good. So the next thing we're going to do is, well, I've got a lamp, and This is a gasolier. So I think I'm going to put that right here on this étagère, which you'd probably have to come over the other way.
Yeah, we're going to give
to see it.
a view from this direction.
So there's your
Look at
gasolier.
that.
So that's a good spot for that. And here's a treasure. Do you know when you run out of space to buy anything for your own house, then you start to look for small things. And this is a fabulous enameled clock with, those are real precious stones on it, with a quartz base.
That is just incredible.
And it's a rooster. So we're going to put that here.
Look at that.
Because this was a gift from a foreign dignitary to the Empress. So this would be in a pride of place position.
Absolutely.
So just a super little piece. And you know, things like this are fun to collect. I think I enjoy it more in a vignette than I would sitting in a glass cabinet at home. And here's just a phenomenal piece of art glass. This is like a beautiful piece that we looked at the spinning wheel antique shop earlier today. And if the viewers didn't see that, I think they should go look at that. But here, it's a gorgeous thing, a hand ground, Greek key pattern, beautiful pink decoration. It's not an expensive piece, but you just put it there and it just adds
And it just goes.
a
little something.
touch of
Look at that,
elegance.
everybody.
Yeah, little touch of elegance.
Isn't this amazing how this entire room has just sprung to life, and it started with
A piece of cardboard.
a piece of cardboard.
Yeah, and then we'll just put this little cruet set, which is a little
Oh,
bone,
look at that.
which then helps brighten up that space. And again, those
Gives
are
it some
things
color,
you can find
some texture.
online.
You can find them online on Ruby Lane and antique shops. Just keep your eyes peeled for these wonderful things.
And then
This is
we were
amazing.
talking about Victorian whimsies. I was remiss. I should have found this. This is a walnut shell. And you open it up, and it's a sewing kit, a little etui. So we could put this, we really could put this like so, and put this here. Or we could put it here on the chair, like they've just set it down. What do you think, Rachel?
I like it on the chair because it creates a little bit more of a story and
Yeah,
movement.
and it gives you that color.
A little more of an action.
Yeah,
Yes,
a little color.
yes.
And you've got the pink and the green. It just works. So, okay, the one thing that people, we had a lot of incredible experiences in the decorative arts world when we were in it. And we met some sensational people like Nina Campbell. You know, Nina Campbell has customers like Her Majesty the Queen that she does decorating with, and Mario Bawada, and a lot of really famous decorators that do big jobs. And I'm going to quote one of them, and I don't know which one of them it is, but it was about the English country stately home look, and how do you achieve that? And you achieve that by you have 5 or 6 dogs, 3 or 4 cats, and you lock them into the house for about 2 weeks, and you will have it. You'll have it. Prince Charles just recently bought, which is very magnanimous of him to do, a stately home, I think in Ireland, or Scotland or Ireland, and it was filled with the original Chippendale furniture, with the original bills of sale. It's actually the largest collection of Chippendale furniture in the original home. And before they bought the home, their Great Danes would sit on the Chippendale, $1 billion sofa, and the springs were falling out. That's the real look.
That's the look.
So my point of telling you that is, this is a lovely room, but it is not a home.
It is not a home.
It's not a home until you got the kitties and the puppies.
And the puppies.
So,
boy, do we agree with that.
yes. And you know what? I might not forgive you if you make a mess on our carpet, but I'll forgive Murray. He will have no guilt for that.
No guilt.
No. So we're going to start with, here's a gorgeous kitty. And you know what? Cats are actually, I shouldn't tell you this, but cats are hard to get. I mean, to get a really nice cat to use for a vignette, it's hard. This is a beautiful bisque cat, and it's just a gorgeous
Look at that
quality.
face,
And
the
look at the
painting.
pink bow and the
detail.
bell. I mean, I just love, and the little pink in the ears, and it's just like an old-fashioned cat. So
He's
I'm going to
wonderful.
put him or her. I'm going to put her because I think it's a her. I'll put her right there. So she's going to be on that. She's just about to jump up on to the chest of drawers. So, I mean, she's just, I think it just adds
Oh, it does.
some charm to the vignette.
Just like the
tableau.
animals add charm to our
Yes,
real lives,
yes.
they add charm to your vignettes.
And
Look
so
at
then
that,
we have-
everybody.
represent the doggy. So we have the Borzoi dog, and these are very popular with people that collect French fashion dolls. Since the Marie Tarnowska's book, French Fashion Dolls, came out, people have always loved these. And so I'm going to put him right here. Well, it could be a her because she's got a pink bow, but because I think it works, it brings in color-wise this little corner. So I think that
Look
really,
at that.
now we could add more to it. The one thing I thought of this morning when I was thinking about this is this is a beautiful Sèvres portrait of the Imperial Prints, and this is actually very rare. And I think I would like to put that when this is fully installed, like here on the wall. But I think I'll use two ribbons coming up, and then create a a bow decoration at the top. And then perhaps
Marvelous.
I'll even go even farther than that. I'll do 2 ribbons with a rosette, is the word I was thinking, rosette, and then I will get a little finding of an armalou, like an armalou tack, something gorgeous, and I'll poke that right through the middle of the rosette, because this is Napoleon III. This is opulent,
yeah.
over the top. It's not.
Go big or
you
go
can't
home.
go too far, you know.
Right.
So I think that we've achieved what
Look
we want
at
to
that.
achieve.
If you guys are tuning in, we have just created this from a piece of cardboard and a scrap of wallpaper.
Yeah, it really is, and a scrap of an old carpet and old drapes, and
But it's so wonderful. And when we see these vignettes, it almost feels impossible. How does one put this together? It seems so daunting, but now that we have seen it from the
fun
ground
thing,
up.
because you can start. Listen, this is not that many pieces of furniture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of furniture. It's 4 dolls. So it's not an impossibility. But as we said, it's nice to have. You need your inspiration.
Your
so
focal
if
point.
it starts with one thing, then it can go.
Wonderful. We're going to take some pictures and post the finished product right here. But Michael, thank you so much for showing us this tutorial and demonstration. Your vignettes are very famous, and we have been wanting to see how this is done for a very long time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Ruby Lane.
Thank you. Bye-bye.